Hey, I didn't see you there. This is my podcast. That sounded very embarrassing. This is my podcast, HowToKDJ, and welcome back. Today I have a fun topic, very short but very straight to the point. It's this new thing about actors, right? Why am I talking about actors? Their lives don't matter to me, but I don't know. It's just something to talk about, and it really grinds my gears. And whatever grinds my gears, I feel like I have to deal with and I have to talk about. So I'm gonna talk about this. This hurts. It hurts. It's very loud for some reason. Look, okay. So actors, right, have this general understanding of themselves where it's like they are like judged by the public generally. This is how acting works. Acting is one of those entertainment based jobs. It's literally an entertainment job where you're judged specifically by how everyone else thinks about you. So, pardon me. This is to my point of why I brought up this topic. So, based on the title, you may have already understood what I'm trying to say. I don't understand why a lot of people don't. And this is very complicated already. I don't understand why people don't understand that acting is a versatile talent, right? And who am I to talk? I'm not an actor. Look, you can talk about anything you want to talk about as long as you talk about it with respect and fully acknowledge that you don't know everything. And I do fully acknowledge that. I don't have to say that every 2 seconds. I'm not freaking licensed. If I was licensed, then I would have to say I'm licensed. Otherwise, free speech it up. I can say whatever the heck I want. Okay, so this is the thing. And obviously, I do research what I talk about. I'm not just saying mumbo jumbo. But this is the thing, right? Actors are judged by how, I don't know, actors work based on how they're judged. That's the whole consensus I want to go to. And the reason I'm mentioning this, pardon me again, firstly is because there is this specific thing that I keep seeing online regarding a bunch of different actors, most especially an actor named Dwayne Johnson. You may have heard of him, popular guy. He cooks food in the wrestling matches and stuff. I'm just kidding. He doesn't cook food. It's just, he says, can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Whatever. So, like, for those of you who don't understand, that's a wrestling thing. So this is the thing, right? A lot of people like to say this specific statement about him that really gripes me. Why does it gripe me? Because it feels annoying, to say the least. It feels annoying when people just can't comprehend something, and because of that, they just judge you. And I understand that it's part of the job, so. So, what am I talking about in particular? So, Dwayne Johnson, very well-known guy, huge, muscular, has been in the wrestling, in quotes, wrestling gig for a long time, and he's made comebacks. He's talked about it. He's done a lot of stuff. He's always physically like enabled. He's always doing physical stuff, and he's also an actor. He's also one of the world's highest paid actors. So because of that, if not actually the world's highest paid actor, I'm pretty sure he is the world's highest paid actor, something like that. But like, a lot of people have this tendency to immediately berate him when they're talking about the talent of acting, because people feel like he always plays the same role in every single movie he is in. Now, to my point, why, first of all, do you think an actor like him, has to play multiple different roles in, like, this is not even as deep as the conversation goes. And a lot of people have immediately tuned out as soon as I said that, because when you say something that doesn't match a lot of people's beliefs, then they just immediately tune you out. And that's fine, I guess. I don't tune people out because I want to understand why you think that way. I don't know, it's part of my, life's goal to just subtly understand psychology, but not in the learned, not in like the learned theoretical way. No, I want to understand people's psychologies, because it helps me understand the world better, and it helps me understand how people react better. And if I can understand this, then how do I relate with anyone? Like, all of this aside, so people like, this is a very common thread I keep seeing all the time. Every time I go on like different videos and stuff that have to do with anything regarding superheroes, or like regarding Fast and Furious, for example, I always see this specific thing where it's like, yeah, Dwayne Johnson is like pretty much always The Rock in every single movie he does. You know, he's like always The Rock. He's always just playing the same character. He's always like putting on a show, and it's in his contract, for crying out loud. This guy must be so egotistic to have it literally stated in his contract that he cannot lose a battle with anyone. Like he's legally bound to always win. And then my clarification to that, my whole rebuttal to that, if I may, is, first of all, you know, respectfully, why the hell do you care? Why? Why do you care? Not why do you care about him? Why do you care that he's not playing multiple different characters in every movie? Why do you care that he doesn't play different roles? What do you want to see him do? Like this is an annoying thing, and this is kind of why I didn't wear my glasses for this video. I really wanted like some good eye-to-eye contact in this video, because I feel like it's easier to sell my points that way. So like, look, why do people feel like they need to, like actors need to play different roles in every movie for them to be great actors? Why? Like, I understand it's nice to be a versatile kind of person that can do a lot of different things. It usually means you're more talented, right? But also, when you do something, this is part of the old statement, if it's not broken, why the hell should you fix it? Why are you trying to fix what's not broken? Huh? Like, why? Why do people do that? He's good. It's that simple. That's the simple conclusion. He's good at what he does, so he keeps doing it. Why should he just start doing random nonsense? And to be fair, one of the main reasons a lot of people have this gripe with him that I have genuinely noticed is because in general, for humanity and for the way people behave, and here I go generalizing things again. Look, this is how I explain things. This is how I make common sense out of things that look very confusing. In general, right, people have this tendency, right? I'll use the word tendency here because I don't want to oversimplify things. They have this tendency to want to, how do I put this? To want to need to justify how a person is as successful as he is based on others. You know, this is just basic empirical testing. This is what everyone does. You know, you see someone do something and you theorize. You go, okay, so in order for the person to be this successful and this popular, he has to be doing this, right? But then you see another person not doing the thing that everyone else has been doing, and you're like, wait a minute, that's not right. He shouldn't be as like famous as he is. He shouldn't be as popular as he is. Why is he that popular? Well, you can do other things and arrive at the same step sometimes. Am I blowing someone else's mind by saying this? The Rock has made his success in technically three parts. What are the three parts? First of all, he was a well-loved wrestler. Well-loved. And I'm saying like well-loved, and like that was his whole thing. There are a lot of people like that in wrestling that they are there to be loved. And The Rock is definitely one of them. Another obvious one is John Cena. John Cena has the exact same thing, but John Cena is so late, is so new into the acting gig that people haven't started picking up on the fact that he's literally doing the same character as well. But whatever. This is the thing. John Cena in particular has that whole thing, but The Rock's own is like so intrinsic. It's so linked into his personality. You know, this is just him. You know, this whole thing, his whole acting, his whole vibe with like his whole persona is all in him. And because it's all in him, like people can't accept that because they feel like no one should be this well known for just being good, even though we have people like Keanu Reeves, for example. But the thing about Keanu Reeves is he has had a longer acting career before being the good guy. You know, he has played like side roles, he's played a lot of random roles, but The Rock came straight from the wrestling gig, from WrestleMania, from WWE, which is like all about like, obviously, first of all, for those of you who are still under a rock, it's all stunt work. It's not real, for crying out loud. It's a performance, like it's performance art. It's fun. It's nice to watch. Like it's very fun to watch if you want to suspend all your disbelief. But that's what we do for movies, so it's fine. So like that's cool. But the thing is, based on the way he's grown his wrestling gig, he's always known to be liked. You get? And this is a subconscious thing when it comes to human beings. We don't always treat things objectively. That's the best way to put it. When you see an actor on the screen, you don't immediately think, oh my God, it's this actor, like in a movie specifically, especially when it's not like an actor that you know too much about his life before acting. You get what I'm saying? So because The Rock has the same exact thing where he has been a wrestling guy for a long time, very, very long time. And people know him as this big, cool, heroic kind of personality and this fun guy. And then, writers were like, wow, I really like this guy. And people do this for a lot of different huge fanatic people like that. So they went, oh, this is pretty cool. Let's put him in like some kind of movie. We could make some good stuff from this. And a lot of people seem to like him. So why don't we like add him into like our roster for movies and films? Yes, they did that. What happened? People liked it. That's it. People genuinely liked it. Why? Because he's such a lovable guy. What's not lovable about a freaking 6'5", half white, half black American dude who just happens to be like a big, strong shoulder? Like it's one of those things that he does well, and he does it so well that people now don't like it anymore. Why don't they like it anymore? Because that's humanity for you. He's now so successful that people are like putting him in the same likes of the huge big popular actors in the world, the Leonardo DiCaprio's, the Mariah Carey's, and I don't know big actor names, but like those people, they're putting him in the likes of them because people do this thing where also they rate financial success with talent, and people now go, so he is as financially successful or more financially successful as these people, so therefore we should put him in the same level. But then some people go, wait, why are you putting him in the same level? He's not as good as them. But also, why are you so quick to think he's not as good as them? That's my point. That's my whole point of this video. That's literally the whole reason I made this video, is the fact that so many people have that strong argument that he doesn't have as much range as this person and that person. I'm like, how do you know that? How do you really know that? And why are you judging that as his acting talent? Right? Because range, a lot of the time, not even sometimes, a lot of the time is genetic. It's literally genetic. It's genetic in the sense that you have to kind of like look physically as much like a regular, quote unquote, an average person to be classified as like someone that has range when you do specific things. Let me explain myself. Let me explain, because that sounded very convoluted when I just thought about it in hindsight. Yeah, it sounded kind of convoluted. Let me explain it. So the reason you see an actor like Will Smith, let's use Will Smith for example, he's well known for being a very wide-ranged actor. The reason you've seen him do so many things and it looks so cool when he does it, one is the fact that the stories he's in are like really good, first of all, which is a side tangent I'll probably talk about very soon. And two, he looks like the average person. You get what I'm saying? He doesn't look like in any specific way special. Like, yes, he is Black American, but like that's not really, it's not really technically special. Like, it is special sort of in the Hollywood acting realm, but besides that, like besides the race thing, he looks like an average guy. He's probably like maybe close to 6 feet, maybe higher, maybe he's the average guy, basically. He looks like the average guy. And because of that, when he plays a role, he has to really play a specific guy in a role, right? Now look at Dwayne Johnson. Look at that monster. Like, look at that guy. He is 6 feet 5 inches. That's not an average height. He's also enormously bulky. Whether natural or not, I don't freaking care. Look, it's all your freaking preference. If he wants to do what he wants to do, let him do what he wants to do. That's never been my thing. But he looks like that, right? And people go, hey, why don't you play different acts? Why don't you play different roles in different movies? He can't play a regular role. He can't play a compelling role. He has to always be the big man because he physically is the big man. he can't change his height in a movie because it will just look weird. And what's crazy that people obviously forget about is, look at his role in Black Adam, for example. He played 2 versions of Black Adam. People obviously will forget this because, look, everyone has their opinions on movies, that's fine, but it just pisses me off how many people are just straight to judge Black Adam and all this nonsense. Everyone always judges famous people, that's normal. But like, he played 2 roles in Black Adam. What are the roles? He played a big, strong, muscular version of himself and a weak, shrivelly, older version of himself. Did you remember that? For those of you who actually watched the movie, probably not, because people forget things that they don't want to care about. That's just, see, this is a gripe that I have in general. I don't know why I'm mixing this in with what I'm saying, but like, this specific thing has me under wraps. Why? Because people just went, so he's just The Rock. He's just The Rock with spandex, with black and yellow spandex. That's him. He's just The Rock with black and yellow spandex. That's all he played. That's all he does in every movie. In Jumanji, he's just The Rock with with a bit of game friendly instincts, and people obviously forget that he literally had to play Kevin Hart in that movie. But no, he's just The Rock. He was The Rock in Red Notice. I mean, to be fair, he was a bad, like, an action friendly guy with a lot of crazy this and that. Even though he's technically played a bad guy there, because at the end of the day they were the bad guy. Sorry if I'm spoiling the movie for you. I don't know if everyone has seen Red Notice or not. It's kind of new. It's not really new. It's like years ago by now, but like it's still relatively new. So I should probably say spoiler warning. But like, people look at that and they're like, nah, he's just The Rock. It's just him. He's not changing anything. Oh, this is already pissing me off. He's not the same freaking person. He's not. Why isn't he? Because he's not. Why is he not? Because he's playing a different character. He's playing a completely different role. He's playing different people in different roles. Some of his movies, yes, he is the same person, but that's what happens when you watch all the Fast and Furious movies and then Hobbs and Shaw and then say, oh, he's just always playing. You've only watched movies where he's the same guy. That's it. Jason Statham is the same guy in all those movies. Do you ask questions there? No, because Jason Statham has wider range. He looks like the average person. He just looks like the average Cockney freaking European guy. Like, he does nothing physically special about him. And because of that, he can play any kind of person. And he can be way more compelling. That's just a thing about acting. That's just what acting is. The fact that he can be compelling is a lot of the time derived from the fact that they look physically like average people. So in order to get themselves into roles, they have to specifically change their entire personality, change everything. And don't come to me like, but there are actors who like straight up went through a lot of body transformations just to play roles. Come on, just don't use that. Don't use that argument. Don't try that. Don't use the Christian Bale thing and say Christian Bale had to play. Look, that's Christian Bale. Okay, that's Christian Bale trying to do what he wants to do. And for crying out loud, he didn't change his height. Height is a big deal in acting. God, please. Like, now I feel like I'm lecturing people. That's what it always results to. It always results to me basically lecturing people, and I always hate that. Because, like, I don't want to sound like I'm lecturing people, but at the same time, what am I going to do when people just won't listen? They just won't think for 2 seconds? This is the thing. Christian Bale himself is a very different character and very different personality. And he also has a very normal physique. He's not 6'5" or 6'5". I don't know why it's 6'5", whatever. He's not a 6'5" black, white mix American guy with bald head. He's not that guy. That's the thing. He's just not. And everyone's gonna go like, oh, but there are some people. No. Okay, name literally any huge famous actor that you can think of. They look like the average person. Or, in other words, they can look like the average person. That's it. The Rock cannot look like an average person because he's literally above average height, above average size, above average everything. And he's also an above average race, because technically it's harder to find a mixed black and white than it is to find white or black or Asian or all the other races. Like, that's the thing. He specifically doesn't look like the average person, and because of that, please try to understand that's why he cannot play an average role or play like a general role. And oh god, it just, I don't know, it just really, really pisses me off, because it's like, please people, please try to comprehend, please try to understand the fact that this dude is trying. He's really, 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 really trying. He's doing a really good job. Like a really, really freaking good job. He is doing a good job. Vin Diesel is doing a good job. Who else will I use? This is a weird side tangent, but you notice how people don't make this argument for big, huge actors who play comedy roles? Notice that? Because people feel like for comedy roles, first of all, there is still that whole aspect of them not really looking so different from the average person, so that helps. And also the fact that in comedy roles, you don't really need to play a specific kind of person. You just kind of have to be funny. You know? You don't have to be too compelling. You can be compelling if you want, but if you're funny, you kind of just take the cake. That's all. That's all you need. So like, that's one of the reasons why, for example, the character Ryan Reynolds played in Green Lantern was not as like well taken as like his role in Deadpool, for example. Why not? That specifically is because of the role itself. And this is what I was going to get to later on. The movies The Rock is in compared to the movies a lot of other actors are in also determines how good they are. There are a lot of movies where big actors have been in and they did not shine whatsoever. Like whatsoever. They were just average guys. They were just people. There was nothing special to make them great actors, you know, in people's eyes, because that's the whole thing about acting. There was nothing special to carry them. There are a lot of roles like that. There are a lot of people who do this. Like, look at friggin' Jason Bateman, for example. Very great actor. He's in Ozark right now. He's doing really well. Great, obvious, like fabulous show. By the way, awesome show. I don't know. I'm saying this like it's new, but like he's in that show. He also happens to be a comedy actor, and he plays really good roles. But he also happens to be a guy who starred in a movie called Teen Wolf 2, and this is like a running joke even in the Smartless podcast, that he was in Teen Wolf 2. It's called Teen Wolf T-O-O, not W-O, like double O, T-O-O. So like that movie, horrendous. Just horrendous, just horrendous. Like straight up just horrendous. But he's in that movie. Would you use that to rate how good he is as an actor? No. But people will be like, yeah, but that means he can play versatile. He's very versatile. He can play. He looks like an average Joe. If you saw him on the road and you've never watched any of his movies, you would never be able to tell that he's special in any way, that he's an actor, you know? And to some people, I guess, acting is transforming yourself to another. That's just straight up garbage. That's straight up garbage. Like, respectfully, that's garbage. That doesn't make any sense. Acting cannot just be transforming into a different person. No. Sometimes you can play a role that just happens to be like you in real life, or a role that you can only play physically because you physically look a certain way. And there are a lot of people who play roles like that. There are a lot of comedy actors who play roles like that. There are a lot of like dramatic actors who play roles like that. They have a face, they have a look that only can mean one thing pretty much. Like, that's the thing. And a lot of the time they run with that, and it does well. It only happens that they also happen to be in shows or movies that are like big blockbuster hits, or like very, very well received. And because they're well received and everything, people feel like, okay, that means this guy, this actor is insanely talented. Come on. If Leonardo DiCaprio, for example, let's put him, for example, if he was in a movie like, I don't know, Red Notice, in place of The Rock, Leonardo DiCaprio in Red Notice. Red Notice, for those of you who don't know, is like a very action thriller kind of movie where... Wait, what's about the movie again? Because I'm kind of forgetting some parts of it, because there's another movie The Rock has been in that's very similar to Red Notice. So, one second. I've never done this, actually. I want to see if I can, like, just look it up very quickly. So, they're trying to... So, basically, he was an international art thief, or he was an international thief. Like that's who The Rock was in the movie. He's a bad guy. Technically, he's actually a bad guy. He's there. Ryan Reynolds there. Gal Gadot's there. It's really fun. Like it's a really fun movie, and it's pretty cool in my opinion. I don't know why it didn't do as great as I expected. It's like mixed reviews, sometimes 37%, sometimes 77%. I don't understand how freaking ratings work sometimes. I enjoyed it. It's a fun movie, and it did fulfill what I wanted. So like that movie, okay, he's that role. He played this guy. He played this and that. Imagine that was Leonardo DiCaprio. First, think how biased everyone would be to rate him. Immediately, people would go like, God, Leonardo DiCaprio, always bringing his swing to things, always bringing. What does that say about an actor when everyone knows you for doing a specific thing in movies? It means you're playing the same character in every role. That's simple. Except, for The Rock's case, his every role, quote unquote, happens to be a big, strong guy who basically never loses. And people are upset about that because people want to see people lose. They want to see that. They want to be satisfied when someone loses because that's part of the human mentality. And people don't go ahead to judge The Rock and go like, nah, he's not that great of an actor because he doesn't lose in his movies. He's always the good guy. It's literally in his contract. As soon as those things start popping up, people just disregard everything else. That's the problem. That's the main problem with everything, with this whole conversation I'm having with you, listener, I guess. It's the fact that people just straight up disregard everything else because they're like, so you're not exactly like the average person, and because of that, I don't really like you. I don't really want to watch someone who is not like us, who can't like make us see ourselves in the movie. Good God. And look, to be fair, that could be your thing. That could be what you want to see in movies. Maybe the only reason you watch movies is to see yourself in a movie, which I guess is a valid point. That's what a lot of people do. But that doesn't judge whether you're a good actor or not, for crying out loud. It doesn't judge that. It doesn't. Because you can be a very good actor who happens to be playing a role that's basically how you are in real life, that's based on your real life personality, and do that role very well, which is exactly what The Rock does. Everyone's like, I want to see him play a specific. What do you want to see him do? You want to see him as a freaking receptionist who gives like 2 lines in the movie and is like, and drops the mic, and everyone's like, wow, that was so compelling. That was so great. Such a nice. Please, just please, stop doing this. Okay? People don't understand how things like that can actually affect an actor's career, like The Rock. How do you think he gets all the gigs he gets? It's because his physique, first of all, demands that he plays a bigger role. And when he plays a bigger role, it demands that he usually is either like acrobatic, fights, does stuff like that. And when he does stuff like that, because of people's liking for The Rock, and which is one of the main reasons they cast him in the first place, people tend to find him interesting, and then they tend to like him. They tend to enjoy watching him. So it's literally because he looks the way he looks, people enjoy watching him. Because of how he is, people enjoy watching the movies. Ergo, people get employed. Actors get paid. Camera people get paid. A whole company, a whole studio gets paid. Why? Because he plays his role well. Because he's who he is in every movie. Fine. Why can't people would accept that because they're like, no, but you have to play some random weird detective kind of role where you're like sophisticated. No, he doesn't have to. He already puts in all the work on looking freaking massive. He puts in so much work in that, but no one cares. Everyone's like, nah, please. He doesn't really put in that much work. It's just terrible. That's another whole thing I don't even want to get into right now. I don't even want to get into that right now. Not even the slightest. Not even. Don't say anything, David. Don't say anything, because this is how I get into side tangents. This is how I lose my train of thought. But like, yeah, that's pretty much all I want to talk about. It's just really griping me and bothering me, and people also go ahead and say like he has never played like a bad guy in a role. Yes, he has. He played a character named Agent 23, if I remember correctly, in this movie with Adam Sandler. Let me see if I can pull it up. because I don't remember what the exact name of the movie was, but it is Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson. So he played. What movie was it? What's the freaking name? It's not that new. I think it's kind of old, honestly. It is pretty old. I'm still looking for it. It's not one of his top movies, like definitely not, which is kind of why people didn't realize that was the freaking Rock. Yeah, so it's called Get Smart. It's a movie. It's 2008, pretty old, by Adam Sandler, and I can't really see the lady's face. I don't want to have to go through this whole thing, but The Rock has done a lot of stuff, like a lot of different roles, a lot of different acting, a lot of different things that people just kind of overlook because what they know him for is one guy, and because of that, he's not a good actor. Oh my god, and it's pissing me off because there are so many people like that in the acting world who actually do that, who actually don't play any other character, asides one thing. But because The Rock always wins in every movie he's in, because he's basically contractually obligated to always win, because what do you freaking expect? Some people are contractually obligated to never kiss in their movies, or to never have like a specific romantic scene, or to never swear, or to never like. Some people are contractually obligated to never do some things because that's what people know them for. That's the thing. Some actors just are known for being good guys, for being protagonists, and some actors play awesome antagonists. Awesome. Some actors are like, and that's what like I guess a lot of people call range, because they're like, wow. So they're great at playing both good guys and bad guys. Yes, because they physically can. This is like, I've used this comparison. It doesn't really work too well, but try to listen to me. This is like saying a guy without legs, or without one leg, let's use one leg, is not a good runner. He's not good at running. Now think about that statement. A guy who doesn't have a leg, he's missing a leg, is not good at running. Your argument is that this guy is not good at running, or your argument should be that this guy cannot run because he has one leg. How is that so hard to differentiate, to comprehend? If I went ahead and just said, this guy, like, if I saw this guy in like Olympic races where he like hopped on one leg, and there were other people who had two legs and they were like running and stuff, and they were sprinting and doing backwards runs, would I say, well, this guy has to be a horrible runner? Because like, come on, look at all these other people. Look at these people like doing all these strides. Look at them doing different styles of running. Look at that. That's stupid. That's genuinely stupid. And that's exactly the same freaking thing as saying a guy who looks like The Rock looks is not a good actor. He doesn't have good range because he doesn't play the roles that people who look like regular people in the world, like just regular guys, look like. Like, he doesn't play the role that they play, even though they look like. Come on, try to reason this out. In acting, they will specifically ask, because I know a little bit about this too, because like I've said, I listen to the Smartless podcast a lot, and like I've been catching up with it because it's tons of episodes, and I just kind of figured it out recently. So I've been listening to all their episodes, and these are actors, professional actors. It's Jason Bateman, it's Sean Hayes, and it's Will Arnett. I love Will Arnett, like freaking hilarious dude, like lots of laughs. But like, because those guys keep talking about like their acting gig, I understand a lot about how acting works from the inside now, at least good enough about it. Like the fact that they have casting calls, right? And in the casting calls, there are some specific roles that you cannot play if you look a certain way. And not even just race-based. Like, race obviously will determine a lot, because sometimes they specifically want a Black American for a role, they want a Chinese American for a role, or an Asian American. They want a specific kind of race because, it'll fit the story better. So sometimes they need specific races. But sometimes, and a lot of the time actually, they need a specific height or a specific size, like physique. And The Rock's physique is not something he can change like willy-nilly. He's not just a buff guy. He's a tall, buff guy. a tall ass buff guy. And because he's that tall, and because he's that huge, and because he's that prolific, and because of the fact that his whole acting career has been based on his career from wrestling, which is big, strong, macho man with tons of like, how do I put this? Like charisma, but mixed with, I don't know exactly how to put this, but he basically very charismatic. Someone like that, because of that, that's how people see him, and because that's just how people like visualize him. Because of that whole thing, pretty much, I don't know why I said it in such a weird way. He is basically cursed, quote unquote, to play a specific kind of role. And because he plays that specific kind of role and it does well, he will keep doing that because that's how acting gigs work. Some people cannot play specific roles, and they say this all the time in the Smartless podcast. They say this all the freaking time because they're like, this is just a thing about acting. A lot of actors cannot play certain roles because they physically just can't do that. That's the best way to put it. They can't do that. So please, people, try to understand. Please try to understand that it's not a talent issue. And yes and no, sometimes some actors genuinely can't play some roles. Cool, I understand. But The Rock can act. He is a good actor, okay? He's a freaking phenomenal actor. They wouldn't just have some guy because he's big and buff act in so many movies. They would not do that. Look at his movies, look at his roles. He played a tooth fairy, for crying out loud. No one's gonna mention that. Of course not. No one's gonna mention the role I already said before, Agent 23, where he was like an actual villain. He was a bad guy. No one's gonna mention that. No one's gonna mention, I don't know, Snitch, the movie Snitch, that he played a very, very, very long time. This was not that long ago. It was 2013. I remember watching the movie a long time ago. But yeah, he was the big macho man kind of dude. But he was a very different character from Black Adam, for crying out loud. Like, look at Black Adam. Look at him. He has no regard for human life. He's not compassionate. He does not have any of those things, those traits that people call like the Rock mannerisms. You know, those things that he always does in all his movies, like in a lot of the movies, not all his movies. But like, he doesn't do all those things. He's a guy trying to discover why he should have compassion for humanity at all. He didn't care. He just kind of walked through buildings, literally. He did anything he wanted to do. Because that's who he was. That's who he is. Which they changed that area, so yeah, that's who he was. But that's the thing. That's a very different role from even G.I. Joe, for crying out loud. It's a very different role from, I don't know, Fast and Furious movies. I mean, certainly different from G.I. Joe, I guess. G.I. Joe and Fast, like he's very similar in both movies. Very different from The Mummy. You know that's like The Rock's first movie, like The Mummy. I think the Scorpion King. Was it Scorpion King? Yeah, I think it was this. It was The Mummy. It was literally The Mummy. So it was first The Mummy in 1999, and then in The Mummy Returns, which is where he was like the scorpion guy and very, very horrendous looking CGI. But I don't blame them. There's a lot of issues. They've talked about it in Corridor Crew and stuff. Like, talked to the actual guy and talked with him about why they do that. But like, this is the thing. He's in all these movies. He's in cool stuff. He does voice acting, and yes, his voice acting roles are literally based on how he is personally. Like, look at his voice acting as Maui. Cool. Yes, of course that's him. Like, he's the perfect role though. Is anyone gonna forget that he's literally spot on Maui? Like, he has the physique, he has the looks, he has the tattoos. Like, it almost looks like they sculpted him after him. And yes, it's like a mix of both, because I do hear a lot of that stuff where they do genuinely create characters based on the real actors, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So like, he does play himself in that role. Like, he does genuinely play a character that's made after him. But that's because he looks good. It's because people like him. It's because he's such a nice guy. He's such a fun role. That's why he's who he is. It's that simple. If something's not broken, why are you trying to fix it? He's good. He's a good actor. And it's pissing me off because, like I said in the very beginning of this episode, acting is all about how people perceive you. And the problem is when everyone perceives him to not be so great because they think acting is all about being someone you're not. Which, that's not acting. Acting is playing a role properly. It's just acting. You're acting a role. Like, every day, a lot of us, this is one of those mental health things. A lot of us act like different people. We act happy. We act sad sometimes because we want relevancy. Like we want some sort of like someone looking. We want someone to see us. A lot of the time we act different ways, but this is all acting. It's still you. It's still you just being you, but it's acting. It's acting because that's not really how you feel. It's still acting. The fact that he has to play like he's flying around and stuff, he's in front of blue screens and green screen, that's acting. You do that. You freaking do that and try to convey the same amount of emotion he did. And then you would realize how difficult it actually is and how much he is an actually good actor. God, that was such a freaking long-winded way of saying I love The Rock. I don't know. See, that's not my point. If that's what you got from this, then, screw you. Who cares? But here's the thing. I've made myself pretty clear. He's a great actor. And please stop saying garbage about this. Stop saying he plays the same guy in every... He looks like that, so he will most likely play roles like that. That's just common sense. That's common sense for movie making. It's common sense for everything. It's how you look that would determine how people would act, how you would be acting. Like, it's how you look. It's all about how you look. It's literally about looks. As weird as it sounds, it's literally about looks. A lot of acting is just, how does this person look? And that's it. Thanks for watching this video. This was or listening to this podcast, I guess. This was a bit of a rant, but well, who cares? This is a podcast for you, and I'm trying to do it the way I feel podcasts should be, where you kind of say what's on your mind, especially when I don't have like a guest with me or something. It's just me on this podcast. It's just me spitting things to this microphone and literally spitting on this microphone because there's no filter, and I don't know, just trying to make some kind of noise that sounds some sort of reasonable. I don't know. This is all based on my own probably twisted logic, but you know what? At least I'm making a somewhat of a good point. In my opinion, I'm making somewhat of good points, and you can't ignore that. Come on. Just give it up to me anyway. Just give it up to me. I'm just kidding. But this is the thing. Please try your best to understand. He is actually a good actor. He just happens to look like he looks. And because of that, he can't play regular roles, quote unquote. He can't play all these weird fancy stuff because it wouldn't look convincing. That's the thing. It just straight up wouldn't look convincing. There is literally no, this is not even a generalization. There is no actor who looks like him that plays any role that's different from what he plays. That's just straight up boilerplate truth. There's no other actor who looks like him that plays the roles, that play different kinds of roles. They always play that exact role because they physically look and match that perfectly. There's a reason Christian Bale had to change his complete physique for certain roles. Like, he had to change his role for when he was in, what's the name of this movie, the popular one that everyone knows, where he's like this deranged guy, Christian. I should have ended this by now, but I don't know. I just keep talking, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on. Yeah, American Psycho, right? So American Psycho, when he was in American Psycho, he looked completely different from his character in for example, what's the name of this movie? The Machinist, where he was literally an anorexic guy. So anorexic, for some people who don't understand, is a condition when anorexia is a condition when you can't, when you have an eating disorder that's so bad, pretty much. It's basically just a superb eating disorder. It's a very bad thing, and yeah, sometimes I kind of wish I had anorexia. I'm not gonna lie. As much as I understand, it's a real issue. I don't know. It's so hard for me to control myself. Whatever. That aside, yeah, he does play different roles where he has to physically change and transform himself for the role. He looks completely different. He lost probably freaking 50 pounds or something. He lost a lot of weight for that role, and he had to, because that's the best way for him to show the role. Now you want someone like The Rock to do that? That's straight up not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. No matter how skinny he gets for that role, first of all, his body would suffer from a lot of withdrawal because he physically has been buff for years. There are pictures of him as a 16-year-old where he looks like a freaking man. He looks like a grown man because he's just always been like that. And also he came from a background where he did that all the time. Like his dad was into wrestling. A lot of people in his family were into it. So, yes, that's the thing. A lot of people can play those roles, those certain strange roles and twisted roles, because they physically can. He physically can't. Like I said, it's a blessing and a curse, because that means, cool, wow, you're always a good guy. But bad thing, you're always a good guy, because everyone's not going to keep saying, oh, you're just playing a good guy in every role. You can't play anything else. God, please be more considerate. Please, people, just try your best. It's not that difficult. You can learn to be considerate. And anyway, have a good day. Stay beautiful. Stay gorgeous. And you'll see me in the next video. Get out of here.